we're recording now. Okay, so I am going to share my screen and we're going to go ahead and get started. Let's do, yes, share. All right. Let's talk about how to warm up and practice at home, because we've all been stuck at home now for a long time. And this is where we are. So the first thing is obviously your physical space. You're going to need to find a space, if you haven't already, in your home that's comfortable for you, a quiet place that you can concentrate and gather your stuff. This sort of stuff should include things like your music. If your music's held in a binder or a folder, that as well. Pencils, a highlighter if you have music that you're able to highlight. Your water bottle, a metronome, piano or guitar, headphones, any technology you might need, these sorts of things. And this is not an all-inclusive list. This is just, the basic stuff I could think of right now. So let's talk about warming up. There are 3 parts of an effective sequenced warm-up. The first is body preparation. The second is breath activation. And the third is top-down vocalization. So we know, to be able to practice at home, you have to have a voice that's warmed up adequately. Otherwise, your practicing isn't going to go as far or go as well as you would want it to go otherwise. So the first thing, body preparation. We have this nice picture of that woman stretching there. These stretching and posture exercises help to align the body for singing. It just gets us ready for all of the stuff that we're about to do. That's why we always start off our choir warm-ups and singing warm-ups with stretches, just basic stuff to get our muscles engaged and ready for what we're about to do. The second is our breath activation. This includes a controlled exhalation of a hiss or a shh. And our breathing exercise that we know combines stretching and posture with breath support and control. So for a moment, I'm going to come back to you so that we can see each other, because I want to talk through all of the elements of the breathing exercise and why those are what they are. So we start off the breathing exercise, as we know, with our arms across our bodies like that. Hi, Maddie. And there's no real reason for this other than to open our bodies up as we swoop down and open our ribs up for all of that air that we're about to take in. So this is just the preparatory move for that. The big swoop of the arms, this motion, keeping your ribs open, is the most effective way for your body to breathe, which is sort of crazy, like the most effective physical position. And so while your hands are up here with your fingers laced like we do, you hold your breath. And when you hold your breath, that breath deepens ever so slightly inside of your lungs, just giving ever so slightly a little bit more resistance for your external and internal intercostal muscles in your ribs, and also for your diaphragm to give just that little bit of resistance. So you're holding your breath and the stretching from side to side. We know what that is. The pull down is shh. Then the open up to breathe, natural motion, and F to exhale. We know how that goes. And then the breath control part of that comes in how long can we exhale on that F, right? And all the way back down. It also helps us to get into position for singing when our shoulders are rolled back and down and our chest is nice and high. Obviously, we would do that entire thing standing, but we don't have to do that right now. All right, let's go back to our presentation here. Yes, share. All right. Okay, so we were just talking about our breathing exercise. Controlled exhalation of the hiss and shh. Now the vocalizing part. So in the sequenced warm-up, you should always start with top down warming up, because this is the easiest way for your voice to just ever so slowly stretch a little bit at a time. And you should start with the small intervals and then grow. Like when we start with our humming, we often start with an interval of just a third, just rolling it. Now that isn't exactly top down, but it does lead us into something like our ooh, which does go from top down. Or the ah for our altos. Ah, ah. There are other easy things that we can do. Lip buzzes, for example. Lip buzzes are the things that you do when you, like a horse does, you know, that neighing sound. So I'll come back to you just one more time here. So there are a couple of ways that you can do the lip buzzing. And oftentimes when I have my singers do lip buzzing for a while, your nose can start to get ticklish. So you just press on your nose ever so slightly. And if you go faster, you have to use more air. So more air equals a faster vibration of your lips. Slower moving air has more, I don't know, flappiness to it. Less tightness of the muscles gets you a flappier sound. A little bit more tension of the muscles gives you a better lip buzz. Tongue trills as well. That's like rolling your R's. That is a tongue trill, and you don't have to have any sort of pitch whatsoever of piano to do a tongue trill. It can just be a simple to get it going fast. All right, let's come back to the presentation and we can look at some more of these here. Yes.
I have learned, Crystal, that if you can't do your lip buzzes, if you push on your cheeks, you can do that better.
Really? So if you're saying if you push here and that works? Oh, like this. Oh, I'll have to try that, because I'm not a person that has a difficulty with that, but I will have to remember that. Thank you, BB. All right, let's come back to our presentation here. Thank you for showing me that. Incredibly helpful. Okay. Oh, our wee-o exercise is another top-down one. Wee-o. It has a few more intervals in there, but it's the same. Wee-o. Top down. And then the last one on that list there is our normal or the articulated version with the moo at the very end. Next, you can start building those intervals. We've already started going to, you started at a third, built it up to a fifth, and now we're keeping in that same fifth range. We're going to expand it a little bit, but starting off with our Z-ah, this starts on the bottom and then comes from the top all the way back down in a scale-wise motion, just like the exercise that we're used to doing. Z-ah. Z-ah. The purpose for doing bottom to top and down exercises is to practice taking the bottom and not putting as much weight on it and making the focus the top of that phrase, or the top of that to the end of the phrase. For example, Z-ah could be the end of the phrase there, or we could make the highest note of the phrase be the most important. Either way, we're focusing on keeping the weight out of the bottom so that the top is exercised. And we don't have to worry about the changing of ranges which is why top down is the most effective, because it's much smoother transition for your voice to go from the high hooty head voice to your middle voice, or even down lower into that regular modular voice or your chest voice. Next, we have the good old standard, I love to sing. That's an octave jump, so it goes from the same note to the same note on top, and then down a fifth or down a fourth to the so, mi, do. That one's a good choir favorite. I love to sing. Next one follows the same pattern. It's jumping an octave. It's I know, I know, I know, I know. This is an articulation one. It gives more weight off of the bottom and up to the top. It's dancier. It just gives you a couple of other options. All right. Other exercises that you can do warming up. Scale-based exercises, things for musicality, crescendos and decrescendos. We've done some of that already with our zia. We can do things like this even with a single note. However, something like the crescendo decrescendo, we could do an easy crescendoing over the course of 8 counts, or decrescendoing over the same amount of time, something like that. Phrase length is another thing that can easily be worked on inside of warm-up exercises. One of the really nice ones is the tune from Peer Gynt. You could do it on a simple vowel. Ooh, I'll choose. Ooh. So inside of there, you can do crescendo and decrescendo. You can work on that entire thing being over one breath. Lots of different things that you can do with that exercise, and even going up to different keys as well. Things working on agility. We know our exercise, E-oo, E-oo, E. E-oo, E-oo, E. That's it. And that's the one that's doing a triplet to get your voice just dancing around a little bit. Still going from top down, but adding a couple of extra accent notes in there. This next one that I have on there for agility, I have not done with Calliope very often, maybe only a handful of times, but I got this from one of my professors in my master's degree. It is a phrase length and agility exercise. In this key, it sounds like this. I wander through the lovely woods. I wander through the woods. So you try to do that entire exercise over one breath, which is quite a challenge for beginning singers, or if you haven't been singing for a while. There's also that agility of the melisma in there, multiple notes over one, or multiple notes in one syllable, rather, one vowel. Okay, so let's talk about some of the things that you can do if you don't have an instrument, or if you're somewhere that you don't have access to anything. These are the things you can do. You can do lip buzzes. Anything of growing size that starts small and gets larger in its intervals is helpful. Same thing with tongue trills. It doesn't have to start anywhere in particular. And that can just go anywhere. Hoot owls, like we know. Hoo, hoo, hoo. And all the way down there. Our frisbee throw. I'll come back here because I want to show off this next couple of things. Our frisbee throw, we already know how to do that one, right? We have the normal wind up. Woo! And that's another bottom to top and all the way back down again. Sirens. general sirens you can do. And going all the way down to the basement, right? Pattern tracing. Okay, so I needed to come and see you for this one because pattern tracing, I mean like tracing a pattern either in the air or creating something you can see a design somewhere. I don't know. I like to get creative with my pattern tracing. Sometimes I take my dry erase board and draw like some squiggles and make my voice do that. So, oh, here, I'll just grab my dry erase board real fast and I'll show you what I mean. So, for example, oh, where's my marker? Here we go. For example, I could draw something like, I don't know, looks like a cursive R sort of, but my voice would follow that pattern. So it would start off here with a little hook. Something silly like that. It doesn't have to be a beautiful sound. And oftentimes I make really silly sounds when I do this, but it's the moving between the lower ranges, middle and upper stuff in there that you're trying to get smoothly, because that's what we're trying to do. We're going for those lengthener muscles and shorter muscles to get equally stretched out and warmed up for your practicing. So, what else do we have? Messa di voce, that's this thing where you have the crescendo and then the decrescendo right after that. So, like that, where it gets loud in the middle. We do that in choir a lot. A bouncing ball. Oh, I forgot to bring my actual ball in here. I mean a literal ball. So, it could be a beanbag, it could be an actual bouncing ball, but something that you can toss gently or bounce gently on the ground, that your voice can do the exact same thing. That's an easy way to warm up your voice with a physical activity without an instrument. Anything that you have around. I could even toss a marker. Ooh, ooh, whoop, and then drop it. Okay, so let's do some other things. Oh, and if it bounces down on the ground too, you can practice articulation that way. It's pretty fun. Lots of different things here. All right, let's move to our next slide now. Okay, we've done skill-based exercises and exercises without an instrument. Let's talk about practicing. How to practice at home. First things first is you should have a goal. You don't want to just go into practicing blind, just thinking, oh, I'll just go through all of my songs. No, that's probably not the best idea. You want to identify problem areas or even problem songs just in general. Isolate the spot or spots and then add on to it. And I'll talk to you about what I mean here. So when we're rehearsing, when we're at home practicing, there are often small musical spots that are problems. And it's not really a whole lot else that's around it that's the issue, but it could be a pitch or a rhythm or the way that that vocal line fits with another voice part that could be the problem. So the things that you got to consider when you're practicing are, what are the elements that could be tripping me up, or the things that go into this specific part of music, because all of it matters, we know. It could be the tempo or the speed of the piece. It could be going too fast or too slow, or your brain's just not clicking with something. It could be the actual rhythm, text and language, or how any of these things combine. Pitches or notes, those are the same thing. Harmony, if it's fine to be able to practice your line by itself, but the challenge comes when hearing another voice part, that's a harmonic practice challenge there. Dynamics and articulations. Can you sing the notes but have a hard time singing it that loud or that quietly or that short or cutting it off, such as our last one there, entrances and cutoffs. So all of these things, as you're practicing, you want to identify the small spot that's the issue. Work on that spot. And then you want to be able to transition into that spot and out of that spot, because sometimes the troublesome area is not actually that measure or that word or that note itself, but the way that it comes into it or the way that the music gets out of that as well. So while you're practicing, you can use many different tools that we'll get to here in just a moment to identify any of these things. But there are lots of different ways to go about practicing. So what do I do when I start practicing? If I'm looking at a brand new piece of music, I'll often look at, first of all, the text, because that's what we're talking about here as singers. We're looking at that. And oftentimes the text and the rhythm go together. Those are often the same thing for singing things. Pitches and harmony are next for me, because if this is easy by itself, if your line, if your alto line or soprano 2 line is quite simple on its own, but when you add the soprano 1s or the alto 2s to that and the harmony becomes the issue, that's when you can take one line, sing it by itself, and then take a different part track other than yours and try to sing along to it, or vice versa. You can put yours on and try to sing another part, something like that. So when you're practicing, be realistic, identify your problems, and then try to be efficient with your time. Sing smarter, not longer, because the longer that you practice, the more likely you are to become burned out. And over practicing can cause fatigue. You could cause damage if you sing for too long or too much in an unhealthy way. So be realistic about what your goals are, what you want to accomplish during that practice time. You might not have any specific goal, but just working on, oh, this song or that song because they need a little bit of extra time. That's valid. Some tips. Okay. So there are some things that are helpful when practicing for practicing, just as like preparatory measures. These things include photocopying your music if you can, so you can use different colors and highlighters, or if not, marking your music using a pencil. We're all aware of that. However, a lot of us forget to mark music. There's no right way to mark your music. I've had a number of students ask me, well, what should I write there? Well, what comes to your mind? If you're trying to say, don't sing, or stop, or wait, or louder, whatever the word or verbiage or symbol or picture it is that you need to put inside of your music is what you need. Sometimes things are funny. There are many times where I have written notes, mean notes to myself. Being like, don't you do it. Don't you come in on the wrong entrance, because sometimes you need reminders like that. Other times in, I'll be honest, conducting things, there have been many occasions in which I need to write in my music, don't cry. So I don't cry in the middle of a performance. It's real. If I had the music, I would show it to you, but I erase all my stuff afterwards. You use whatever you need to. Colors are helpful for me. I love using colors to show crescendos and decrescendos, dynamic differences, articulatory contrasts, section differences. If you have a big A section and a big B section and you need to bracket that off, colors are very helpful for that. However, different symbols and other things, nothing is out of the realm of possibility for marking your music. Okay, that's off my soapbox. Back to our presentation here so we can talk about some more of these tips. Alrighty, what else do we got here? Don't always start at the beginning of the song. I'm sure that you'll remember there are a number of times in which I do not start our rehearsals at the beginning of a song, because it's good for your brain and good for your musical ear to be able to pick it up somewhere else and start. It doesn't have to be in the middle of a phrase necessarily. Like you don't have to be able to start twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are at little star. You don't have to be able to wait that long, but you should be able to get into the habit of not needing to start at the beginning of the song to cue the rest of your brain in for all of that. So when you're practicing, find that one spot. Look for that spot that's troublesome. Work on that little area. Add some stuff to it at the very beginning of that section, right around the end of that section, and then go back to the beginning and try it from the top. If it's at the end where your problem is, start at the end. Work backwards in your practicing. As you practice more at home, try to develop a routine for yourself. When you come in, make sure you have all of your materials ready so that you don't have to make 5 or 6 trips out to your living room to grab your music, or you forgot your water bottle, or you don't have your headphones or something like that. Gather all of your things and get everything set up in your quiet space so that you are ready to go and nothing is going to sidetrack you from that. So you can maximize your time and not have to waste other time that you could be using relaxing or doing something different. Use technology to your advantage. We know that I create the part tracks for you. You are free to use those in any way that you want. You can practice with your own voice part. You can practice your part with any of the other part tracks. I would highly suggest doing that as a practice tool, trying to sing along with another one of the voice parts. Record yourself. This is a not fun thing to do, but it's most effective toward the end of your music learning. When you're nearing completion with a song, you're putting final touches on it, recording yourself to hear what the real issues are or where things are going well is very beneficial. It's not going to feel good to have to listen to your voice. That's always sort of a painful thing for us to get over, just as humans in general, but it's really helpful to be able to take a step back from that, to take a step back from your own physical voice and try to assess it in a more objective way. You can use some music tool apps to do this, which I'll get to here in just a moment. Other things like using the music apps for practicing are other things that you can do as well. Challenge yourself physically and mentally. You don't have to do this if you're having a rough time, but if you are wanting to push yourself just a little bit more with your musical learning, go for it. Try something different. No one is going to tell you not to. So let's talk about some of this technology stuff. A metronome is really helpful for rhythm practice. There are big physical metronomes that you can get, or you can get a metronome app on your phone or tablet. Those things are very helpful for helping you to just keep a consistent tempo for practicing rhythms or body percussion or practicing speaking a foreign language text in time so that you are making sure that there's no like transitional lag, using a voice or audio recorder. This is what I was talking about for recording yourself. You certainly do not have to video record yourself just for your practicing. I only do voice recording for myself unless I am looking to do a video recording to assess my entire performance, how I look on the outside, what my demeanor is, any of the acting things that I may gesturally be doing, identifying those in a video recorder. You will also need a video recorder for your virtual choir submission. So if you don't, you do because I'm talking to you through Zoom, but if you don't have a reliable one that you like right now, maybe look into some that you would enjoy more so that you would have a good idea of something to use for your virtual choir or anything in the future. Musical Light. This is that app that I have on my phone, which has a metronome and 2 different kinds of keyboards and a pitch pipe and lots of other very helpful musical tools. These are all on Android that I have because I don't have Apple products. But this mini piano light, however, is available on both Android and Apple. So inside of the Google Play Store and Apple Play Store, the mini piano is available. And that is just a little piano to help, you know, with the actual physical playing. The last 2 things that I'm mentioning on here, Treble and Rhythm Cat. I'm gonna show you their apps available for Android and Apple. I have, oh yay, cool. Treble Cat is, it's like rudimentary music stuff. Rhythm Cat is identifying the correct rhythm and like putting it in order, you know, in time with music that's playing in the background. And Treble Cat, oh, yeah, Treble Cat there is for learning to read pitch names on the staff. So it's cute. It's really cute. And you unlock different levels as you go. Let me see here. Come on now. Do that. Okay, that's fine. So it would tell you to collect every so-and-so. And it originally starts off by the notes come flying across the page there, and they originally start off with their letter name in the note head, and then it gets more challenging. They take the letter away. It's just a fun little thing for learning pitches. So let me talk about how do you use a piano if you have one at home to warm yourself up or to practice anything, or how to use a piano inside of an app, even if you don't know how to play piano, to practice or to warm yourself up. So if you have knowledge of the staff pitch names, excellent. You can use that and a little layover to play some notes on the piano. Awesome. If you don't know how to read the piano or read music there, that's okay. You don't need to know how to do that to use a piano to warm yourself up. So I'm gonna angle this down a little bit and show you what I do. So for warming up, you have all of these keys here. You want to find somewhere, I don't know, in the middle, around there, that fits your voice. If you are a lower voice, you'll want to go lower down on the piano, obviously. For any of those exercises, you can simply start by playing one note. And that can be your starting note. So if we were to do something like a hum, you don't need to know how to play all of those notes to be able to sing them. You could just do that. Where do you go from there? Well, if you go to the right on the piano, you go higher in pitch. So if I want to go up, I would go there. Up another step. You can do the same thing if you're doing a top-down exercise, like we oh 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 we. Just one more for fun. We oh we oh we oh we oh we. Same thing can be done for those big jumping exercises too. I love to sing. I love to sing. I find it helpful if you leave the note ringing while you do that part of the exercise before you move up, but to each person their own. If you don't have an instrument, if you have an app you can do exactly the same thing, just going up. You don't even have to go up by half steps if you don't want to. You don't have to go white key to black key to white key. You can jump and follow it that way. That's perfectly valid too. Let's go back to our presentation here. Oops, sorry. All right. Okay. And lastly, there are some challenges that can come with all of this practicing at home right now. So because it's COVID, all of us are stuck at home. Some of us get to leave the house and go to work or have the ability to go to grocery stores, but other people are straight up stuck at home and can't go anywhere. There are some challenges that arise from that, you know, mental health wise, physical health wise. Sometimes when we're working on anything, we can approach a mental block. The same thing happens when you're practicing. So what do you do when you approach a mental block? You stop what you're doing, and that's practicing. So if you're doing that, stop practicing immediately and take a break for a few minutes for a little while, or move on to something else entirely. You will not do yourself any favors by trying to continue practicing through a mental block. Your brain is just broken for the moment on that subject and just doesn't want to play. That's all right. Come back to it another time when you're refreshed, when you have done something different to take your mind off of it, and it'll go better the next time. Accountability, staying accountable while isolated is really challenging. Your exhaustion is valid. It's okay to be tired, and it's okay to be too tired to practice. It's a pandemic after all. Motivation is really hard to maintain, but no one else will do it for you. So what I would suggest is scheduling time for music. It doesn't have to be, okay, I schedule an hour every Monday. I'm going to sit down at 2 p.m. and practice from 2 until 3 p.m. or whatever works out for your schedule. You don't have to do that. Just make time for it somewhere in your week, in your day, a couple of times a week for you to sit in a quiet spot, think about your music. You don't even have to sing to practice. There are lots of opportunities for your brain to practice without an instrument or without your music in front of you. If you really want to keep a track of how much you're practicing or how much music you're making, though, you can keep a music log or a practice log if you'd really like to. That way you would have a physical representation of your time, so you can assess what you need or think is appropriate. If you feel like what you're doing is adequate, fabulous. If you see that there's a deficit, you would have a physical representation of that. Another challenge is singing around your family or neighbors, because not all of us live in homes where we're the only one, or there are not neighbors nearby that could hear you singing, or you have family close by. And sometimes it could feel embarrassing, or family members could critique or perhaps bully sometimes and make you feel uncomfortable. The most important thing is to make your singing space comfortable. If that's in your car, fabulous. If that's in your shower, equally fabulous. Make sure you don't get your music wet, but equally fabulous. It doesn't matter where your singing space is, as long as that is a space where you feel comfortable to sit down and do that vulnerable thing of practicing and making mistakes. That's an okay thing. Lastly, if you are out and about or you just don't have an instrument at all, being without instrument access is a challenge. There are apps that you can go through to use, like we have just talked about. The part tracks that I create for you are always tools for you to use. If you don't have your music or you don't have an instrument, you can still practice rhythm. You can say those words. You can do steady beat exercises. You can practice body percussion. You can go on YouTube and look up the songs. any of those things are ways to get around not having an instrument, or feeling uncomfortable without an instrument. There's still ways to go about practicing and warming yourself up so that you can still make music at home. And I don't have a slide for this, but after you accomplish your goal, you should obviously reward yourself. Cooling down your voice is important as well. If you've been doing heavy singing, you need to bring your voice back down to a spot where it can be used in everyday life. If you've been working on singing Moon Goddess a bajillion and one times to get your part right, and your voice has been up in the stratosphere for a long time, you're going to need to bring it back down. So doing a cool down is very helpful in that regard. I don't have any specific exercises for cool downs, but easy things can include those same sirens. Oh, oh, but going in the opposite direction. Whereas in the warm up, we were trying to increase those intervals to grow your range in warming up. The cool down is taking that extended range that you had built through singing and practicing and bringing it back down to your normal talking, usable voice level. And after you've accomplished all these goals, reward yourself for doing good work, whether that's, I don't know, taking personal time, giving yourself a treat, whatever. Reward yourself for the work that you're doing, because after all, it's a freaking pandemic. And you deserve to treat yourself well, musically or otherwise. What questions can I answer? What did I not give you this evening through my presentation or my words right now that I can help answer or give you more knowledge of?
I was just curious. You were talking about that Treble Cat. Is that like,
Mhm.
was that like a picture of a cat, or was that
So
something?
the Treble Cat app, yeah, there is a little cat in there. It's more like the general feeling of the app is
Mhm.
cat themed. There are some
Oh, good.
pitch exercises where it's like a cat meowing.
Oh, that's cute.
Which
Okay,
is
I thought, okay. I was like,
Yeah,
that's what I was
so-
wondering. Yeah, that
yeah,
sounds cute.
it's very fun. Mhm.
Mhm.
What else can I answer for you?
Are you going to present them or save your presentation and post it to us?
Yep, it's already been saved. I have the PDF already. I'm just going to upload it once we're all done here tonight. So you can have either the presentation in PowerPoint form, or you can have just the slides in PDF form. And this is being recorded this way. And I also have a camcorder right there as well. So I'm going to upload this to YouTube so we can have this as, I don't know, for posterity. We would have it for a while still.
How long, Crystal, do you recommend your students practice?
It really depends. That's an excellent question. There's no set time frame that you should practice. Whatever you need to accomplish is what you should accomplish. Often when I have my own private students, I give them at the end of their lesson, I tell them what I'm expecting to hear from them in the next lesson, whether it be, they're learning a new piece and they need to practice this first page, or if they're at the end of their song and they're working on musical elements, I always tell them like there are 3 things that they need to do. I do like to say though, for singing practicing, it's not in your best interest to practice for more than an hour, because like your brain is going to shut down. It's going to like lose attention, but more than that, your voice is going to start to get fatigued if you're singing for an hour straight. The recommendations are, if you're going to be singing 30 minutes straight is like a really good chunk of time, because that is quite a lot of stamina, and then taking a break for 5-10 minutes and then coming back to singing again is a good idea. If you're working on a piece of music that you're trying to do like musical elements for, or you're working on the entire song, whatever you feel is best. I don't have any rhyme or reason for the way that I go about my own practicing. I feel like when I go into a practice session myself, I have a goal in mind. I need to achieve this. Once I work on that section and have music before and music after that I can put together to make that entire section work, then I feel like I can put it away. If I feel like I can't accomplish that goal in a reasonable amount of time, like I try not to work on a piece of music for more than 15 or 20 minutes. That chunk of time is a lot. And even in our own rehearsals, 15 minutes to 18 minutes is about our threshold for what we can handle, like what our attention span can handle, like mentally. So 15 to 20 minutes at most per song, I think would be like a really good general rule. And then no longer than an hour straight of singing. If you have breaks in there where you're not singing and you're doing other things, you can practice for much longer than that. But an hour of singing total is probably going to be the best thing per day. And I doubt that everybody is singing on a daily basis to practice. I certainly do not practice every day. Piano, that's a different story. Singing, no, I don't practice every day. What else can I answer? Is that a reasonable answer for you, BB? Cool. This is very fun for me to talk about. You know I love nerding out about these things. Anything I can answer for you? Do you have specific questions about your own practicing?
I never felt comfortable practicing with the tape.
With the part tracks? Oh, why do you say that?
I don't know. I think I learned better by trying to plug it out on a piano than by
Yep.
doing it that way.
That's entirely reasonable.
I'm a learn by ear person. I have to have a part track.
Yeah, there are different learning methods. I have to see it and like see it and do it. I gotta see it to do it, but I can hear it at the same time. It's a very interesting combination, but I feel you, BB. I can understand that. Some of the part tracks that we have now have other parts in the background as well, which may be more helpful for you. But if you can plunk it out on your piano, you're, 10 steps ahead of some of the other members that we have that don't have anything going on.
I think maybe the part tracks with the background would be really good because, of course, that's my problem of going off to the other part. And
right, is having that conflicting.
Is there a way to work on that?
Yeah. So currently, I have like all of the parts for deep piece recorded in like a string arrangement and also piano stuff. For all of the deep piece things for the virtual choir, there's all of the piano parts in the background as well as the single voice part on top of all 4 of those parts. So is that something that you would be interested in me continuing to work on? Like for those part tracks, is having like all of the parts be in the background and have the primary voice part be actually sung during that time? Cool.
I like that.
Yeah, I can definitely do that. That's fine. I'll have to practice my piano stuff a bit more for some of the songs, but like Warrior, now I created a piano reduction so I can play that song like nobody's business. So I can easily create that for you. Other songs might be a bit more challenging for me, but I can definitely work on that for you. 100%. Anything else that I can answer for anyone? Maddie or Jennifer or Leanne, Catherine or Lacey?
Oh, this just makes me feel bad because I sing in my car without doing any kind of warming up. So I know I'm like not doing my voice any favor.
Oh, called out. You can do just simple exercises before you sing too. And there is something to be said for singing as a warm up. Sometimes you can use songs like there were many a time where I would be driving in my car to my church job where I was the, the soloist or the section leader. And I would be warming up in my car to the songs on the radio using a singular vowel, like humming along or singing on ooh, something super light so that I wasn't taxing my voice. Definitely not belting, definitely not doing anything in the lower chest range, but you can totally do that as long as you're not pushing your voice too hard or too, I don't know, just too forcefully. It's okay. Yeah.
You see that that's my problem though, is that like it's my stress relief Broadway playlist.
Belt the Broadway as you come on board, right?
Yeah. So it's not doing me any favor. So I should probably warm up more when I do this. I'm gonna hurt myself.
Just give yourself a little warm up. Your voice will thank you. And it'll feel better to sing through that stuff anyway. And when you feel better singing it, you will mentally get a better release from that singing anyway, too.
Fair enough.
I know. I'm horrible about doing cool downs. Personally, I forget to cool my voice down on a regular basis. Unless I've been doing heavy singing or heavy practicing, I often forget to cool my voice down at the very end of it. Unless I have been doing that, then I really have to bring it back down or up to a level where I can talk again instead of being up in the stratosphere, because sometimes that happens after you sing up high for a while. Your voice gets stuck because your larynx is actually physically stuck up high. And so your lengthener muscles are lengthened and they haven't relaxed to come back down yet. Physiology is fun. It's fascinating. It's like really a thing. Anyway, can I answer any other questions? Phoebe, yes.
No, I was just saying good night.
Oh, good night. It's so good to see you. I don't have anything more. I hope this was valuable information for you.
Sure.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm glad. So next week we have fun songs. We're not doing any concert music. We're just having a good time, doing some fun karaoke things, playing musical games, singing still, but musical games so that we're having a little bit of free and easy before we get back into concert music the week after that. It's good to see you all tonight. And
I have a fun question.
Okay, Crystal?
What's that, Jennifer?
I have a fun question about like drinks. So do you recommend any kind of warm drinks before or after singing? Not just alcoholic beverages or anything like do you recommend tea and lemon or honey and lemon or something like that?
So,
Or after singing? Yeah.
Let's talk about that for just a moment. Hot things are good and bad for your voice. Water is best, always best. And water really kicks in like 8 hours after you've drank it. So if you have a heavy day, like a concert day coming up, like tomorrow, you would be best to drink a lot of your water the evening before, in the morning of, so that you're fully hydrated for the rest of your day, because doing all of that singing is going to dehydrate you because of all of the air passing through your vocal folds that doesn't normally pass through there. Regarding singing and drinks afterward, hot drinks can sometimes dry your throat out. Alcohol definitely is a drying agent. Always. There are benefits to that depending on what's going on with your throat. If you're having a good singing day, water, apple juice, that's all good for you. pH balance of apple juice is about the same as your saliva, so it's going to be a good refresher, and it's also, more flavorful than water. So if you're looking for something to salivate just a little bit more, water, or rather apple juice is a really good alternative. Hot drink wise, green tea is really nice. Honey and lemon together. The honey being the sweet agent can help coat the throat and protect from too much heat absorption if you have that going on. Don't ever drink something that's been boiling, like at its boiling point, obviously.
Okay.
You will scald yourself You will scald the tissue in your throat if you drink boiling water. So don't do that. Wait until you can actually like drink it and it's cool, warm, whatever, you know. And the lemon is an antiseptic. So that's a really helpful thing to put together. So really nice antioxidants inside of green tea. It's also quite healthy for you. It can be cool or hot. Honey, lemon, good things together. Antiseptic, good for coating your throat. Milk, dairy products can increase mucus production, not in all people, but in a lot of people, it can increase mucus production. So we typically try to stay away from dairy products before singing. You are welcome to indulge in as much ice cream or cheese or milk after singing as you want. That'll help coat your throat too if it's feeling a little bit raw. Those are pretty much my only suggestions. Soda pop is not good for your throat unless it's super duper raw, and then the sugar is good for it, but it's only the sugar that's good for it. So you would do better to have green tea and honey at that point than to drink soda pop. It's really just not valuable at all. It's delicious sometimes, but it's not really valuable for us. So does that answer your question?
Yep.
Excellent. Anything else that I can answer for you? All right. Thank you for being here tonight. I hope that you learned something. I enjoyed talking about it. And when I get all of this condensed, I will upload it. And right now I will upload the PDF and the PowerPoint to the Google Drive folder so you can have access to it. Thank you for being here. Have a good rest of your night. Good night. See you on Thursday of next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.